Hi, I'm Mike Noone, and I just made this little broadcast for you, or I'm making this little broadcast for you because I think it's important that you can see an easy way to come out of this lockdown period and get back into profitable enterprise as quickly as possible. If you don't know who I am, I'm a business consultant, a business growth consultant, and I help business owners to consolidate and grow their businesses, but not in the way that most people might really think about that. And I've made a few notes here because there's some things I want to cover. And it's all kind of around this theme here of currency. So if you've been in lockdown and you haven't been able to go to your premises to clean out the stock that's rotting in the fridge or the freezer, you haven't been able to do anything like that, you've got your customers also not allowed to go out and do anything, then it's quite likely that you're going to be a little bit concerned about how to move forward. So what I want to do is, this is just a brief heads up for a free training I'm going to be running next week. I'll put the dates for that up on this page a bit later on. But what I want to talk about briefly is the economy, because this whole crisis thing has radically transformed and changed the economy forever. What we had was, after 2008 crash, we had all the banks all got bailed out, while hundreds and thousands of small businesses went to the wall, and all the big financial institutions on Wall Street and all the mortgage people, they all got bailed out. And if you're like me, you probably got very, very little at all. And the same thing's happening again now. You've got all the big corporations are lining up for money from the government, and it's all in the interest of saving the economy. But here's the thing. About 90% of the real economy is guys like you and me, small business owners, who are, doing our best to help our community. So I want to just read you a quick quote here from a guy called Mayer Rothschild. And he was the founder of the Rothschild banking dynasty back around about 1600 and something. And he said, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." And when you think about that, if you've got the ability to print the money and control the distribution of it and the value of it, that's a pretty powerful tool. And here's the thing. If you go and you try and print money, it'll be about 5 minutes before the police are knocking on your door and saying, "Oi, come on you're under arrest for forgery." So banks have got this very, very exclusive right to print money. But here's the thing. What you've got now is no longer money. It is currency, because there's some certain aspects of that money has to have in order to be considered money. So one of them is that it has to be a means of exchange. So you can change a $20 bill for a bag of carrots or whatever it might be. It has to be durable, and it has to be divisible. So most paper currency isn't particularly durable. They have to recycle it. After about every 1,000 transactions, it gets burnt and destroyed, and they print some more stuff. It has to be divisible. So if you've got a $10 note and you tear it in half, you haven't got two $5 notes. You've got, two worthless bits of paper. But the most important one is it has to be a store of value. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but what your $20 note would buy you last year, your 1,000 peso note, your 500 ringgit note, all the things those currencies would have bought you last year, it won't purchase anything like the same amount of goods or services. And people go, "Oh, it's the prices are going up," but it's not. It's the purchasing power of the currency is going down. And this is because banks are printing hundreds of billions of dollars to bail out the financial industry, to bail out the big boys, and they don't care about you. So, I hear people talking about capitalism and how it's such a bad thing. And I find this quite an interesting comment, because the truth is, we have not had a capitalist economy since about 1912, because in 1913, the United States Federal Reserve Bank was formed, and they took over, control of the printing and the distribution of the money supply for what was to become the biggest, most powerful economy and military power on the planet. And by doing that, they basically took away money and they replaced it with this stuff. They replaced it with what are known as Federal Reserve notes. So in a capitalist economy, the most basic unit of a transaction is the money that you have, and the price of that money is the interest that you pay. So you've got banks like the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, Bank of China, Filipino Central Bank, Reserve Bank of Australia, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, and they all decide on the quantity of money that's going to be in circulation, and they decide the price of it. They decide the interest rates. Interest is just the price you pay for borrowing or that you set for lending money. And they've took that away from you. So they've done what Mr. Rothschild said he wanted to do. So one of the things that you've got to have with a currency is you've got to have faith and trust in it. And what you're probably noticing is the erosion of the purchasing power of the money you've got. Well, hey, you can't print what the banks call money, what I call currency. But what you can do is you can create your own currency, and it's remarkably easy. And it's using something that we call results in advance. And the thing is, with this sort of currency that you create, you can use existing distribution channels to send it out to the people that you want to consume this currency, and you can ask them to distribute it for you, and you can pay people to distribute it for you. And what it does is it creates ROI, which is return on your investment. And the return on the sort of investment I'm talking about with your currency is a damn sight better than the 0.2 or 0.5% you're going to get on a deposit account with one of the mainstream banks. And even like with term deposits here in New Zealand at the moment, they're paying about 2.3% for a 12-month deposit. I mean, for goodness sake, time you take the devaluation of the purchasing power of the currency, you're actually worse off. So it's a way of protecting yourself in the long term. So some things that you've also got to take into consideration. People have been under lockdown. There are currently 22 million people in the world's largest economy who have registered as being unemployed just in the last 3 weeks. That is a phenomenal number of people, and it represents around about 15% of the American workforce. So basically, the American economy is going to lurch towards recession, and I actually think probably more likely a depression. And you can say, well, that's over there, but it will affect you wherever you are, because they are the world's largest economy. So, and all of the global financial system is interconnected. So what is going to happen is that if you're a business owner, your marketplace, your customers, your clients, they're going to be very sort of leery about just spending money, because they're not sure where the next dollar is coming from, where the next rupee is coming from, the next ringgit, the next peso. So people are going to be cautious. And that means that there is going to be a much longer buyer's timeline. And on the webinar that I'm going to be doing for you next week, I'll explain all this to you. People are also going to do away with discretionary sort of spending. So the days of going out for a flat white or a latte or a McDonald's or a Jollibee, it will still happen, but people will tend to save for it. I suspect there'll also be less credit available, so you're probably going to have to change the terms of your business. And I was actually interviewed by a guy last week on Hut Radio, and what he said to me before we spoke was they had done some research, and 90% of the respondents had said that they were going to defer major payments. So that's things like big buys for the house, furniture, appliances, things like that, cars, boats, holidays. So you're going to have this much more cautious marketplace, and they're going to be taking a lot longer to make a decision to buy. But that creates a massive opportunity for you, because when you create your own currency, you can make sure that you're the one that they're seeing all the time. And you can demonstrate that you can help them by actually helping them. And it's a fairly simple process. So I'm going to be teaching that on this live training next week. And I'll be putting the link up here on this page a little bit later when we've finalised the date. Still got a lot of work to do. But what it offers you is the easiest escape route out from what I think is going to be potentially a very, very grim economy, which is going to affect your lifestyle. It's going to affect your ability to give, to contribute, to support your family, to look after your parents, look after your kids. So that's all this is about. And if you sort of found this useful, I'd really appreciate it if you like this, if you share it with other members of the business community, because that's what I do. I serve the business community, so you get the life you want. And as a kind of a side effect of it, I also get the life I want. But that's what it's all about, voluntary transactions. So, please like this, share it, follow this page, because we're putting up useful information to business owners like you all the time. And thank you very much for your time, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.